Hi everybody, we are going to take your knowledge of phrases and clauses to go over comma rules. So if you'll look at the screen, look at the first sentence, let's eat grandma. That implies that the speaker is a cannibal versus let's eat comma grandma, which implies that the speaker is calling grandma to the table. So commas really affect your meaning when you are writing. So today we're going to go over why writers use commas, and we're going to go over the first comma rule. And this is courtesy of chompchomp.com, also known as Grammar Bites. So why to use commas? One reason is to indicate that information in a sentence is optional. It is not required. It's extra information. Two, to indicate that the writer has changed the normal sentence order. So remember, normal sentence order is subject, verb, plus complete thoughts. If you change that basic order, you need to indicate that you've done so by using commas. Number three, writers use commas to separate items in lists. And number four, to connect independent clauses. So today we're going to go over the elements of comma rule number one. Comma rule number one is to use a comma after an introductory element. That is, an element that comes before an independent clause. And so an acronym for these elements is Spain SPA. So for example, the S in Spain SPA will refer to subordinate clause, the P to participle phrase, the A to appositive, etc. So we're going to go through the 8 elements that are introductory elements and require commas. Number one is an introductory prepositional phrase. So remember, introductory means it comes before an independent clause, and an independent clause has a subject, verb, and complete thoughts. So look at the independent clause in this example. Jake went to the store to buy Cheetos. It has a subject, a verb, and a complete thoughts. And before this independent clause, it has a prepositional phrase, at midnight. Since it's an introductory prepositional phrase, it requires a comma after it and before the independent clause. Number two is introductory participle phrases. Remember, a participle phrase is a verbal that often ends in ing or ed and is a form of an infinitive verb. An infinitive is the to form of a verb. So let's look at this introductory participle phrase. It's a form of the infinitive to finish. It does end in ing, and it's a participle because it's acting as an adjective describing, modifying Jake. Finishing his Slurpee, comma, Jake smiled with satisfaction. So you do need to have a comma after that introductory participle phrase, finishing his Slurpee. Number three, speaking of infinitive phrases, if you have an introductory infinitive phrase, you need a comma after it. For example, to avoid mosquito bites, comma, Jack applied bug spray. So notice the infinitive verb to avoid. Number four is introductory appositives. So, for example, Justine, the shortest girl in class, won the race. Notice we have both an introductory appositive and an appositive in the middle of the sentence, which is called an interrupting appositive. That happens oftentimes with introductory appositives. So Justine is interchangeable with the shortest girl in class. You can say Justine won the race. You could also say the shortest girl in class won the race. They both make sense grammatically. Number five is an introductory noun of direct address. So this is when you directly address someone or something. It is not the same as a speaker tag. So in this sentence, spot, comma, go fetch your bone, the writer of the sentence or the speaker is directly addressing Spot. Number six, introductory adverbs and transition adverbs, also known as conjunctive adverbs. So remember, you have a list in your notes of conjunctive, also known as transition adverbs. When they come before an independent clause, they require a comma. For example, unfortunately, comma, Bobby got the last piece of cake. Number 7 is introductory subordinate clauses. So remember, subordinate clauses start with subordinate conjunctions. After, although, as, because, before, if, since, that, though, unless, until, when, whenever, where, wherever, while, subordinate conjunctions. So here we have the introductory subordinate clause, because I was hungry. You do need a comma after that introductory subordinate clause to separate it from the independent clause that follows, I ate the last piece of cake. Number 8, and the last, is an introductory speaker tag. A speaker tag is identification of the speaker of a quote. So we'll use some kind of verb like shouted, said, or voiced. So in this example, my mother shouted, comma, go do your homework. The speaker is my mother. The speaker tag is the word shouted. That is not the same of noun of direct address. A noun of direct address would directly address someone. So for example, Danny, comma, go do your homework. In that case, Danny is a noun of direct address. All right, we're going to do some practice. If you need any help or if you want to see these rules written down, you can refer to chompchomp.com.